Welcome to part 4 of Let's Play Slaves of the Abyss by Paul Mason and Steve Williams. At the end of the last part, I was about to read paragraph 64. Here we go. On the grill above you stands the spindly jailer, cackling and dangling the keys from his fingers. You must find a way of killing him quickly if you are to get out of this accursed pit. If you know the spitting fly and wish to use it, turn to 259. If you have a crossbow and wish to use it, turn to 186. If you have a blowpipe which has not been used before and wish to use it, turn to 197. Otherwise, turn to 352. Okay, we do know the spitting fly. There it is. So we are going to turn to 259. Here we go. You hurl your sword at the jeering jailer, praying that it will pass between the bars of the grill. Sure enough, it finds its mark, impaling the evil man in mid-cackle. He slumps onto the grill, the trapdoor keys dangling from his twitching hands. You scramble up the rough walls of the pit, observing as you do that Ramades has swung over to below the jailer's body, reached through the grill and grasped the keys. Soon you are both out of the pit, recovering from your ordeal. Turn to 10. Here we are. As you lie panting, Ramades grunts and flexes his broad shoulders. I just can't understand it, he says, shaking his head. 3 months ago I was sent by my lady on a journey, a mission to retrieve a mighty relic. I braved perils beyond description to find the artifact, and my reward? Drugged, beaten, and abandoned to that creature by some cowardly pretender. By the grace of Castis, I had already hidden my prize safely. Now I must deliver it to the Lady Carolina. With a shock, you realize that Ramades has not learned of the death of the lady. You gently explain the truth to him. He clenches his fists and stifles a cry. I will have my revenge, he hisses, and I will take it now. He jumps to his feet and makes his way out of the chamber, grabbing a torch from the wall to light his way along the dark passage. You follow him out of the building and into the courtyard, where he strides over to the water trough by the stables. He reaches into the scummy water and retrieves a leather pouch. I believe I can trust you, he says, tossing the pouch over to you. I go now to root out the traitor who has slain my lady. Keep this well, and if I should die, give it to Calamir's new ruler. He whirls the flaming brand about his head and charges towards the gate of the keep. If you follow Ramades, turn to 224. If you hide in the stables and wait to see what happens, turn to 359. Okay, we're going to hide in the stables and wait to see what happens, and turn to 359. You hide yourself in a pile of straw as the courtyard fills with noise. Ramades lets out a blood-curdling roar, quickly followed by screams from the guards in the keep and the harsh clash of metal on metal. Another roar goes up from Ramades, this time fainter. His final cry is one of pain, and a shout of triumph arises from the guardsmen. Saddened by the defeat of Calamir's brave champion, you examine the trophy which he entrusted to you, and for which he lost his life. Turn to 293. In the leather pouch is a large round locket, intricately crafted from platinum and other rare metals. It is set with blue stones, arranged in what is unmistakably the seal of the House of Rangor. Now, the clasp is carved in the shape of 2 interlocked silver dolphins. Try as you may, you cannot prise them apart, though you feel that it is only magical power which is keeping them together. Stowing the locket away carefully, you settle down for the night. The commotion in the courtyard has subsided. Tick off a time box. Turn to 276. Okay, so we have a sealed locket. Let's put that in here. So sealed locket. And we need to tick off a time box. That puts us up to 11. And we're turning to 276. Next morning you peer out at the servants scurrying about the courtyard. They erect a kind of low stage with a platform behind it. Soon a coffin is brought out and laid with great care on the low stage by a number of priests. You guess that the coffin is Lady Carolina's, and that her body is being brought out so that her subjects may pay their last respects. Madherios, Dunyazad of Ikhtian, Azaya al-Badur and Sij the Silent all file out and take their places on the platform overlooking the catafalque. Then the guards open the gates and allow the citizens to file reverently in. When the courtyard is full of people, you leave your hiding place and mingle with them. 10 to 344. You take your place in the long line of citizens waiting to kiss the hand of their departed ruler. In front of you, two citizens are having a whispered argument, and you cannot help but overhear. I'm not having you kissing her hand, not after you poached her finest swans, says the wife of the pair. I've heard what they say. Your guilt would turn her skin black as night. Hush, woman, her husband replies, always grabbing the wrong end of the spurtle. Now the tale goes that if a murderer kisses its victim on the lips, they'll turn black as burnt parchment. I've nothing to fear. She won't be missing her swans now, will she? As they approach the body, they fall silent and bow their heads in reverence. Carolina lies in full regalia, the sword of office gripped in her right hand, while her left rests upon a cushion so that her citizens may kiss it. Your turn comes, and you find yourself looking down at the corpse of the woman who sent you on your mission. As you bend to kiss her hand, you lock eyes with Luthor, one of the heroes who remained behind to defend Calamere. He stands just to one side of the noble's platform, fidgeting nervously with the pommel of his sword. Strangely, he betrays no sign of recognition. What will you do? Okay, there's the picture. Mount the platform and demand that the nobles hear your case. 10 to 43. Hold up the sealed locket if you have it. 10 to 110. Or slip away into the crowd and watch the rest of the ceremony. 10 to 159. Okay, we're going to hold up the sealed locket and turn to 110. You draw the locket from its leather pouch and hold it above your head for all to see. The citizens near you back away in awe. You are about to tell how Ramades was slain when there is a screech from the platform in front of you. Sacrilege! Seize the thief! Sij is pointing at you, her body trembling with rage. Madherios is staring open-mouthed at the locket. Dunyazad cries, "It is the relic of which Carolina spoke on her deathbed, the fate of Rangor." Sij cuts her short with an imperious gesture. "Guards, Luthor, kill this treacherous dog. If you try to open the locket, turn to 376. If you draw your sword and try to fight off the guards, turn to 399. Okay, we're going to try to open the locket and turn to 376. The locket snaps open very easily this time, and the guards shrink away from you. The nobles stare at the interior of the treasure with a mixture of bewilderment and shock. You turn the locket round in your hand and take a look within. Inside is a faded picture of Ramades painted with uncanny accuracy. Even though the picture is old and cracked, as if painted centuries ago, it depicts him exactly as he appeared when you saw him last night. Azaya al-Badur leaps to her feet and gestures for silence. The fate of Rangor has decreed the truth. Ramades is the new Baron of Calamere. You clear your throat to attract her attention, then tell her of Ramades' death. You point at Luthor and accuse him of being a traitor. Guards surround him and he is dragged away, protesting his innocence all the while. You turn to the four nobles. Turn to 334. It would be too dangerous to accuse one of these powerful people outright, but there is a way by which you can prove the guilt of the murderer. Now, you must insist that one of the nobles shall kiss Carolina, according to the old woman's tale. It is a strange request, but one that they will find hard to refuse, a final mark of respect for the departed ruler. The crowd are hushed, expectant. Which noble do you ask to kiss Carolina? Dunyazad of Ikhtian, turn to 47. Madhirios, Carolina's cousin, turn to 74. Sage the Silent, turn to 279. Or Isaiah al-Badur, the judge, turn to 156. Okay, we're going to ask Sage the Silent to kiss Carolina. So Sage the Silent, turn to 279. With consummate grace, Sage rises to her feet and looks around her. She walks slowly over to the coffin and stands before it. She lowers her head towards Carolina, then stops and straightens up again. She speaks, and though her voice sounds as quiet as the breath of a breeze upon grass, you know that it can be heard in every part of the courtyard. Why must I bow before the orders of this lying upstart? This is intolerable, an obscenity. She is trembling with rage, but her features remain as placid as ever. Then a brave soul from the crowd shouts out, "Pay your respects," and the crowd back him up with shouts and calls. "Quiet!" Sage silences the crowd with one word. Then she bends over Carolina once more. An instant later she has grasped the jewelled sword of office from the dead fingers which held it, and swings it violently at you. You twist to deflect the blow, but the flat of the blade catches you painfully on the shoulder. Lose 2 points of stamina. Now you must battle Sage, the traitor of Calamere. Sage the Silent, skill 7, stamina 5. If you defeat her, turn to 384. Okay, Sage the Silent, 775. Let's battle her. Sage the Silent. Whoops. Skill 7, stamina 5. Okay, my skill, like before, is 12. Let's do this. Okay, so 7 plus 11 is 18. I get 24. 18 to 24. And because that is a 12, that's a double 6. That means I have killed her instantly. And that means she immediately goes down to 0. There we go. So that was good. Excellent. So that's the end of Sage the Silent. Let's remove any buzzing, should there be any. Okie dokie. We defeated her and we're turning to 384. As Sage falls dead at your feet, a deep rumbling noise reaches your ears. It grows louder and louder until your whole body is shaking. The terrified citizens cower away. Then there is the sound of a thunderclap which almost knocks you off your feet. A smoky black tentacle curls from Sage's mouth and forms into a gaseous parody of her earthly form. It shoots straight at your face, and you try desperately to ward it off with your arms. Something brittle shatters against your left hand, and the gaseous form disperses. Then pain shoots up your arm. Prepared for the worst, you look down at your left hand, which is writhing within a blue vapour. You thrust it under your arm to quench the foul flame. The pain eases slightly, and you withdraw your hand. It is now shrouded in green light. As you watch, the colour changes through yellow and orange to red. The pain settles to a dull ache. The crisis over, the remaining nobles look to you for leadership. You arrange for all of Sage's servants in the city to be put under guard, and you see to the preparation of defences for the city. The other heroes you discover were all mysteriously slain. presumably through Sige's villainy, so you are forced to leave the job in the hands of the remaining loyal guards. Then you prepare to journey forth once more. The hostile army still threatens, and you have a duty to Lady Carolina to fulfill. Turn to 183. And there's the picture. You waste no time in retrieving your horse and setting out from the city. You ride east along the same route you used those few fateful days earlier. Tick off a time box. If you have heard of Enthemesis and wish to search for him, Enthemesis, whatever his name is, and wish to search for him, turn to 5. Otherwise, turn to 325. Okay, we are going to tick off a time box. So that's 12 now. Just need to add a note that our hand is coloured. Our hand is coloured. There we go. And we have heard of Enthemesis, whatever, and we are going to search for him, and we wish to search for him. So we're turning to 5. You ride northward into the mountains, making your way carefully through wiry, bleached grass. There are no paths in these parts, and the grass conceals potholes and ruts. Without guide or marker, you have no way of knowing whether you are travelling in the right direction, so you trust your instincts and keep the sun to your left all the time. Finally, you top a peak and gaze down at a cheerless plateau. The grass thins out and your heart sinks at the sight of the barren plain which stretches almost to the horizon. Then you spot something, far out in the middle of the plain. Screwing up your eyes, you stare intently at a small dot, perhaps a hut or other dwelling. You spur your steed down the slope, and after a few hours' ride are at the fringes of the plain. You realize with alarm that the wind is rising. Without vegetation, the soil on this plain is dry and sandy, and it whips up around you, obscuring your vision and stinging your face. Your horse rears, terrified, and you tumble from the saddle, your right foot tangling in its stirrup. Test your luck. If you are unlucky, turn to 54. If you're lucky, turn to 77. So our luck is currently 10, so we need this to be 10 or lower. And it was, but we've lost a luck point. Down to 9. Okay, so we were lucky. So we're turning to 77. Though you land painfully, you manage to grasp the stirrup in your hands and tug at it to calm your panicking mare. Grabbing her reins and bridle, you force her to the ground and hide behind her while the sandstorm rages around you. You wait for the wind to subside. Turn to 98. When the dust finally settles, you find yourself staring at an expanse of forest. Its presence is inexplicable. You saw no sign of it before the sandstorm. Intrigued, you approach and lead your horse along a faintly marked path between the trees into the silent forest. Soon the narrow path forks at a massive creeper-strewn tree with drooping foxgloves covering its roots. Looking around, you see the undergrowth is thick and impenetrable, and you resolve to tether your horse here before investigating further. If you take the left-hand path, write down the number 3 on your adventure sheet and turn to 268. If you take the right-hand path, write down the number 2 on your adventure sheet and turn to 388. If you examine the tree and the plants which cover it, turn to 356. Okay, we are going to examine the tree and the plants which cover it and turn to 356. Now the tree is gnarled with age and is being slowly strangled by the creepers which hug it. Foxgloves grow in profusion all drooping elegantly to the left towards the sunlight which filters through the leafy canopy overhead. You may collect some foxgloves and store them in your pack if you wish. If you now proceed along the right-hand path, write down the number 2 on your adventure sheet and turn to 388. If you take the left-hand path, write down the number 3 on your adventure sheet and turn to 268. Okay, we have some foxgloves first of all, so let's put them in there. Foxgloves. Anyway, we are going to take the left path, and so we're writing 3 on our adventure sheet, so I'll just put 3 and left hand path. Okay, and so we're turning to 268. A little way down the path you enter a small glade. In the centre you can see a slightly raised mound of loose earth with a neat circular opening just above ground level. From it protrudes a black human hand scrabbling in the loose soil as if trying to get a grip. As you approach, you realise that the hand's colour is caused by a crawling layer of ants. If you rush to the man's aid and try to save him, turn to 300. If you'd rather not take the risk, turn to 211. Okay, we're not going to take the risk, and we're going to turn to 211. As you watch, the ant-covered hand grabs a stick which was lying nearby. It then withdraws back into the hole, and you hear scraping noises coming from within. You are not entirely sure what is going on within the mound, but you are glad that you didn't get involved. Turn to 58. Two paths lead out of the glade, one to your left and one to your right. You are just deciding which way to go when you are startled by an ant-eater which waddles out of a clump of orchids and foxgloves to your left, making straight for the mound in the middle of the glade. Wishing him a hearty meal, you continue on your way. If you have 3 numbers written on your adventure sheet, turn to the paragraph they indicate. Otherwise, if you go along the right-hand path, write the number 1 after any other numbers on your adventure sheet and turn to 17. If you go along the left-hand path, write the number 2 after any other numbers on your adventure sheet and turn to 388. If you already have one of these numbers written down, you should choose the other option. Okay, we are going to take the left path and write down 2. So let's write that down now. So 2, and I'll just say left-hand path again. And we're turning to 388. You push your way carefully along the narrow path. After a short while, you begin to hear sounds coming from ahead. Treading carefully, you press on, expecting the worst. Suddenly, you hear a loud crashing noise followed by a shrill by Ugbar's fingers. His cursing is stifled by a loud shush, but other voices cry out. Shall I shoot him now? Not until I give the signal. What's the signal again? Suddenly a voice shouts, now! There is a twanging sound from the trees nearby, and a small bow shoots from them, landing at your feet. At the same time, a short, stocky figure leaps onto the path ahead of you, pointing a crossbow at you. Aha, he yells, and lets fly a bolt. Turn to 189. The missile speeds straight at you, but too low, and passes harmlessly between your legs. There is a strangled yelp from behind you, and you turn to see a goblin with sword raised, staring in surprise at the bolt, which is protruding from his belly. Nice shooting, Gok. Next time I use the crossbow, he croaks, and topples backwards. The goblin who fired the crossbow flings it guiltily aside, and draws a small knife from his belt. He charges towards you with a curse, and you prepare for battle. But after 3 steps, he is whipped off his feet and yanked violently upwards by a noose trap. "Got him," says a voice nearby, and yet another goblin comes into view, holding the other end of the rope. When he sees you, his jaw drops, and he lets go of the rope, dropping his accomplice in a heap and fleeing. You chuckle to yourself and advance up the path, marvelling at the goblin's incompetence. A little further on, you hear more goblin voices ahead. "Don't worry, Gublub, I'll pulp him," says a squeaky voice. You saunter confidently round a bend in the path, only to find yourself facing an enormous ogre, his tiny goblin-sized head glaring furiously at you. Behind him cowers the goblin you encountered earlier. Ogre, skill 10, stamina 12. Goblin, skill 5, stamina 4. Fight them one at a time, the ogre first. If you defeat them both, 10 to 166. Okay. So ogre 10-12, goblin 5-4. Need some more encounter boxes. There we go. Okay, so the ogre was 10-12. And the goblin was 5-4. We have to fight the ogre first. Okay, let's do this. My skill is 12, so 10 plus 4 is 14. I get 16, so 14 to 16. Okay, next. And we're fighting them one at a time. 10 plus 8 is 18. I get 15. 18 to 15. Whoops. Puts my stamina down to 14. 10 plus 11 is 21. I get 15. 21 to 15. Okay, next. 10 plus 4 is 14. I get 22. So 14 to 22. Puts them down to 8. 10 plus 6 is 16. I get 21. So 16 to 21. Um, 10 plus 4 is 14. I get 14. So 14 apiece. No one damages the other. Okay, 10 plus 3 is 13. I get 22. So 13 to 22. 10 plus 8 is 18. I get 20. So 18 to 20. 10 plus 8 is 18. I get 17. So 18 to 17. Means he hurts me. It's down to 10. 10 plus 7 is 17. I get 16. So 17 to 16. Hurts me again. 17 to 16 for me. Okay, 10 plus 9 is 19. I get 17. So 19 to 17. He hurts me again. So that's down to 6. Getting slightly worried now. 10 plus 11 is 21. I get 14. So 21 to 14. It's down to 4. 21 to 14. Okay, 10 plus 7 is 17. I get 21. So 17 to 21. down to 0. Okay, now for the goblin. 5 plus 8 is 13. I get 18. That's 13 to 18. It's down to 2. Okay, 5 plus 7 is 12. I get 17. 12 to 17. That's the end of Mr. Ogre and Mr. Goblin. So, goodbye. Let's use some provisions, I think. 4, and put my stamina up to 8. There we go. Good. Yep, that's that done. Okay. If you defeat them both, turn to 166. Let's do that. 166, here we come. You search the bodies of the ogre and the goblin, but they possess nothing but a few revolting morsels of meat. You carry on down the path some distance, noticing the huge clumps of foxgloves which grow on your right. After a while, you come across a path which turns off to the right. If you have 3 numbers written down on your adventure sheet, turn to the paragraph they indicate. Otherwise, if you go down the path to the right, write the number 3 after any other numbers on your adventure sheet and turn to 268. If you carry straight on, write the number 1 after any other numbers on your adventure sheet and turn to 17. If you already have one of these numbers written down, you should choose the other option. Okay, we are going to carry straight on and turn to 17. So let's just write down 1. So 1 is straight on. And we're turning to 17. Now the path begins to slope down and you hear the sound of running water from up ahead. Soon you reach the banks of a fast-flowing stream. After a while you hear a crashing sound from the far bank. A large and ugly troll is battering his way through the undergrowth which lines the river bank, towing behind him a green leafy sapling. If you swim across the river to attack the troll, turn to 233. If you have a crossbow and wish to try to shoot the troll, turn to 147. If you remain quietly where you are, turn to 180. Okay, we're going to remain quietly where we are and turn to 180. And that is the end of this part. So let's write the next paragraph down, which is 180, and it's unread. And that is that. Yeah, so thanks very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this part. In the next part, we'll be wondering what we're doing with the troll. So thanks again, and goodbye.